Hello, so my name's Michael Conneely and this is my July 2023 astrology summary. It's the introduction video. There's more detail on certain of the facets in the parts 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 videos. But this one is the overall summary. And I start with my overall reaction to the upcoming energies of July 2023. And what I want to say is, phew. I feel that the energies we'll have to negotiate in July 2023 are very muddling, but with some very clear, needed to understand calls to action and strong possibilities. With Rahu, the North Node, Uranus and Jupiter, all three in Vedic Aries, it's action-packed to achieve, assert, valuing your freedom and revolution. And with Ketu, the South Node, transiting Libra, there's an immense call, a huge call for past life healing and rebirthing our present life direction if you have planets there. But it's so important to be aware that Venus, Mars and Sun are caught up in muddling energy changes which will affect our sense of self, identity, and our need to keep a focused direction and energy of implementation, and especially our crucial need to preserve and maximize loving relationship. All those energies in our consciousness are messed up by the conditions of Venus, Mars and Sun through July 2023. It's important to realise that and decide how to try and handle it. Positively speaking, Neptune's retrograde in Pisces can open the doors to insight creation and intuitions. And above all, the Pluto square the nodes transit and the Chiron retrograde transit call us to heal what we might not have acknowledged even needs healing in us. And so the call of Pluto square the nodes and Chiron retrograde transit is to come into your power, to heal your wounds. Focus on that in July. Find out ways of doing it. Now, the way I personally am planning to handle July is above all to avoid scatter, to be determined to manifest chosen goals, and to do sound work to centre my mind and keep embodied and connected to who I am. And so in my case, a couple of things I think will be very helpful is to do overtone chanting and African drumming, both of which, in my case, make me feel so much more centred and less tense. So here's my overall summary of the planet movements and energies for July 2023. It's a brief summary of the movements, what we might feel, and the effect these energies might have on our consciousness and our life. But for fuller detail of the key energy transits, please look out for the follow-up parts 2 to 6 of my July newsletter, which will be upcoming over the next few days. And also there's a blog, as ever, accompanying this video and every video. Oh, and by the way, if you want to see the astrology charts, go to my Star Wheel Astrology website, the July 2023 monthly page under the More drop-down, and you see both the tropical and the sidereal zodiac charts and ephemeris. Okay, let's dive into the detail of July 2023 energies. The Sun. The Sun transits from 15 Gemini to 15 Cancer during July. Basically, Sun in Vedic Gemini is mentalistic and knowledge gathering, but can be over loquacious and rather scattered and possibly even nervous. But when the Sun transits into Vedic Cancer, it's a transition from air energy to water energy occurring, and our minds will be less mentalistic, but could be moody. So guard about that, especially connect to what your intuition is offering. Okay, Mercury. Mercury transits from 15 Gemini, entering Cancer on the 8th of July. And then Mercury leaves Cancer and enters the next sign, Leo, on the 26th of July, passing through the Gandanta zone between Cancer and Leo. Now, when Mercury starts off so close to the Sun in Gemini, Mercury is combusted. And so realise this isn't good for communications and posts, travel, trade, commerce and IT, etc. And Cancer, when Mercury moves into Cancer, isn't a good setting for mentalistic Mercury. So we will need to take special conscious effort to keep our communications clear. And remember, the Mercury in the Cancer-Leo Gandanta, the zone of immateriality between water sign Cancer and fire sign Leo, it's very important to be aware at that time can be very open to spiritual insights. And that's around the date, the 26th of July. And then when we have Mercury in Leo, there's a more self-reliant energy of intelligent action, bright-mindedness, good recall, more confident and inspiring speaking or writing, planning and organisation. So it's very important to log the shifts in the way Mercury will manifest in your consciousness, in your life. Take control of that, check it out. What is the shifting energy of Mercury at any point during July? Okay, we next move on to Venus. Venus transits from 26 Cancer into Leo. And sadly, Venus energies will be in such a mess in July, such a challenge. Venus enters Leo on July the 7th. Thus it's passing through the Cancer-Leo Gandanta zone. And remember, when Venus is in the Gandanta, we can be very unreal about the nature of our love relationship and indeed of the personality of our lover. It's a very difficult energy to be born with in the natal chart. Now, Venus turns retrograde on the 23rd of July at 4 Leo, and ends July at 3 Leo. But looking ahead, Venus will actually return to Cancer, i.e. going through the Gandanta again, on August the 7th. And note that Venus is retrograde from July the 23rd till September the 4th. So by transiting into Leo for all of July, Venus joins Mars, which is also there in Leo. So what with Venus joining Mars, and indeed receiving an opposition aspect from Saturn in Aquarius, and then Venus retrograding and Venus having Gandanta times, we will need to be so careful about our love relationship, the way we're expressing love, the way we're communicating and sharing in love. Now, the next paragraph of this report is about Mars, where the double-edged Venus-Mars combination is analysed. But the really important summary is, be really careful to maintain love relationship. Be very aware that Venus retrogrades only once every 18 months or so, and it impacts us hugely when it does so. The fundamental call is for each of us to review the reality of our love relationship at this time. But the key reality must be to be very loving and sharing with our loved one at this time. There's a risk of sudden changes of heart and of what we value. So ideally it's self-reflection, sharing with the other, and deepening of love and value. So let's go on to Mars. Well, Mars actually starts July at Naught Leo in the Gandanta. Now, whilst Mars is in the Cancer Leo Gandanta, this will be over-emotional and insecure, worried and fearful, frustrated and irritable. Indeed, you've got to note that Mars has been transiting Cancer over the last couple of years, and there's been debilitation of Mars energy. Recognise that. Evaluate, how have you felt in your Mars energies? But Mars is entering Leo, so once it's got out of the Gandanta, be prepared to rise as the hero. Now make that intention. Do the needed work to be in your body. Work out a strategy for sustaining the needed objective of becoming the hero. You see, once Mars passes out of the Gandanta, in other words, passes 2 degrees of Leo about, Leo's self-esteem and motivation will feel good. But there'll be lots of problematic energies eddying around Mars, pitting themselves against Mars. But in the middle of that, we need to harness Mars in Leo energy, in you, in me, and treasure that. Mars ends July at 18 Leo. In fact, Mars transits Leo until August the 18th. So this period will be so good for making the genuine intention of connecting to our warrior self. But also watch out that that energy itself doesn't get too dramatic, imperious, or over-action-packed. So with Mars in Sun-ruled Leo throughout July, plus the fiery energies in Aries, the July energies will become fiery and action-packed. We'll have to manage that. And this is especially because Leo is a fire sign. And Rahu, Jupiter and Uranus are also in a fire sign, namely Aries. As we've mentioned before, Venus also is transiting Leo. So we need to realise that the Venus-Mars combination energy will be steamy, passionate and desirous, but not at all necessarily happily loving. Take care to identify, to share, to rectify that. And do be aware of 2 other key factors to do with Mars. Mars starts July conjunct Venus and Lilith. Mars at 0 degrees Vedic Leo, Venus at 26 Vedic Cancer, Lilith at 25 Vedic Cancer. Now Lilith is our shadow and all that is stuffed into that, including our wild side. And secondly, closing and getting exact on July the 20th, Mars moves into opposition with Saturn across the chart in Aquarius. Now the Mars-Saturn combination is great frustration and anger. It's initiative, versus blocks. So see my upcoming July newsletter part 5 for more detail and understanding on these two big and important to understand energies, both of them affecting Mars. Okay, let's move on to Jupiter. Well, Jupiter transits from 15 to 19 degrees Aries in July. Now, the perfected energy of Jupiter is blessing, expansion and sense of purpose. So check out what house, i.e. life area, Aries is in your Vedic birth chart, and seek to cultivate the pure form of Jupiter energy and awareness of how you're functioning in that life area. But this does involve the need to be aware that Jupiter is actually conjunct Rahu, the north node of the moon, which is at 6 Aries at the start of July. And the Rahu-Jupiter energy combination can be so very over-ambitious, so very rah, destructive or bullying even. So keep the pure Jupiter energy. And also be aware that Jupiter's transiting opposite the sign of Libra. And thus Jupiter is genuinely adding insights to the huge effect Ketu, the south node transit through Libra, is having, especially for the person who has planets in Libra. And that combination can create insights that could enhance your awareness and your handling of your past life issues. And Ketu's cutting spiritual realizations about your need for a realignment, a change of life direction, big things happening to Libra emphasis people. See part 3 of my July astrology newsletter, all about understanding and managing the Jupiter energies. So, in this summary, we move on to Saturn. Now, Saturn retrogrades from 12 degrees to 11 degrees Aquarius in July. And the Saturn retrograde is a big call to tie up all your loose ends now. So see my part 2 July astrology newsletter all about this Saturn energy. And do note that throughout July, Mars in Leo is increasingly exactly transiting opposition Saturn in Aquarius, and it's exact on July the 20th. The Mars-Saturn combination is great frustration and anger. As I said, it's initiative versus blocks. So do be aware of this possibility. Manage your focus and your application onto your key chosen tasks and strategies and life priorities. Expect to feel frustrated and blocked. Be aware, don't let it throw you. Uranus. Uranus transits from 27 to 28 Aries in July. What does this energy mean? Well, it's a call for increase in our freedom of expression and key imperative about bringing needed revolution into your life. Be aware of this and manage this with a sense of purpose and being open to enlightenment, but realism. Now, Neptune retrogrades at 3 degrees Pisces in July. And Neptune is retrograde from June the 30th to December the 6th. And be aware that positively Neptune in Pisces is visionary and mystical and open to valuable insights and supportive of psychics. It's so good for shamanic journeying, vision work and tarot. Although be conscious, be aware of the shadow side of Neptune, confusions, misunderstandings, deceptions, drain. And be aware that Neptune is transiting in Purvabhadra Nakshatra, and that is the serpent path to transcendence, which can indeed produce rebirth through the destructive storm. So be prepared to handle Neptune's often unexpected energies positively. So now we come to Pluto. Well, Pluto's been retrograde since the 3rd of May. In July 2023, Pluto retrogrades from 5 Capricorn to 4 Capricorn on the 20th of July, ending July at 4 Capricorn. Pluto ends his retrograde and stations and turns direct on October the 10th at 3 Capricorn. Huge energy. But most importantly, note that Pluto squares the nodes of the moon in July. To understand this, see my Part 5 July Astrology newsletter. Vast and important Pluto squares the nodes of the moon transit. Hidden power, transformation, rebirth. These are the key impetuses hitting us to develop awareness about and heal ourselves and grow therefrom now at this time. Realize that Pluto being transiting square the nodes and Chiron retrograde transit both call us to heal what we might not have even acknowledged needs healing. So now make a special focus to come into